guys, and welcome back to Samantha's Kitchen. Today this is quite exciting for me. We're going to try a different soup today, and we are going to Romania. We are going to try a Romanian meatball soup, and it looks like there's a lot of ingredients, and some of the ingredients may be a little bit difficult for you to source. But I will show you where I've got mine from, and if you go to specialist supermarkets, you'll be able to easily find some of the dried herbs that you'll need for it. So without further ado, let us get on with the ingredients. So for the soup itself, you will need 2 teaspoons of garlic. You'll also need 1.5 teaspoons of mixed herbs, 2 teaspoons of parsley, 1 teaspoon of white pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, 1.5 teaspoons of Himalayan salt or kosher salt, or you can use normal salt, it's entirely up to you. 1.5 teaspoons of tomato puree, some vegan chicken granules. I am using Aldi's version because they're vegan, and I've got 2 teaspoons. You'll need a stock pot, a vegetable stock pot. You'll need a lemon, and based on how sour you want this dish to be, that will be up to you and your preferred taste methods. And then this here is called lovage, and I have to thank Rosa of West Yorkshire, who kindly provided me with some of her fresh lovage. We've also got dry lovage, which we'll be adding to the soup dish as well, and I'll show you the packet and what you need to look for. So that is for the soup, stock and herbs and spices itself. So next thing we'll need then is we will need to add the vegetables. So I don't have any celery. You would put celery in this dish, but as I say with all my cooking, it's about giving it a go. So we have got a cupful of chopped carrots, we've got 1 whole leek, we have half a cupful of mushrooms, and I've just diced them. Typically authentic dishes wouldn't have mushrooms in, but we want to just add a little bit more bulk to the actual soup itself. We've got a green pepper, 1 green pepper, and we've got 1 medium-sized onion that is mediumly chopped. Now for the meatballs, you'll need to add some ingredients to the meatballs. So we'll look at the meat substitutes that I have got first. So I have got 100 grams of naked glory mince. If you don't have naked glory mince, try chopping up mushrooms of that equivalent. Mushrooms will be a good substitute, but I'm using 100 grams of naked glory mince. And I'm also using tofurkey, which is a tofu ham, and I've got 3 slices of that, very finely chopped. I've also very finely chopped a tablespoonful of onion. We've got 2 tablespoons of rice, and then for binding I'm going to use vegetable suet, and I've got 2 teaspoons of that. So for the meatballs, this is what we're going to add to the meatballs when we mix them together. We are going to add some dry lovage, which I've got here. We're going to add some fresh lovage, so I've got 2 teaspoons of dry lovage. You can also, if you don't have lovage, you can use parsley. I've also got some fresh lovage here. I've got a small handful of fresh lovage. I've got a vegan beef stock cube. If you don't have that, you can put in a vegetable stock cube. I've got a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, half a teaspoon of tarragon, a teaspoon of garlic granules, a heaped teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of white pepper, and a teaspoon of parsley. Now I am over spicing these. If you were having a meat dish for this, you would typically add the parsley and the lovage, but we really want to enhance the flavours of the vegan meatballs, so we are going to introduce that beef flavour using the beef stock here and the ham, and bringing that smoky ham combination to the meatballs. So let's begin. Sorry, I forgot to say that we will also be adding a tin of chopped tomatoes and some water to the soup itself. So let's get started. So on a low to medium heat, put in 2 tablespoons of oil. And then what we need to do first of all is we need to soften the harder vegetables. So we are going to put in here the onions and the mushrooms. We're going to put in the peppers as well, and the leeks. We're going to keep the carrots to one side because we can put them in later with the potatoes. So we will put all this in, and then we're going to cook this for a good 15 to 20 minutes cooking on low to medium. What you want is you want your soup to be really flavourful, and it takes time. It takes time to get your soup flavourful, and the reason why you can make it so flavourful is by taking your time to cook your root vegetables. If you don't cook them through and they don't get translucent with a little bit of browning on the sides, then your soup isn't going to taste that great. So what we'll do is we will start cooking this away, picking out any random carrots that got in there, and we will come back when we are ready to add the herbs and spices. Okay, you can see now that this dish, all the onions have become translucent now, and everything's cooked down. It's smelling beautiful, and it's now time to add your tomatoes. So we've just added our chopped tomatoes, and that is a 400 gram tin, and we are going to fill the chopped tomatoes with water, the same equivalent, and we're going to pour that in as well. Okay, then we're going to add our wonderful herbs and spices. Making sure we get all these herbs and spices in to the soup, and then we're going to give it a really good stir. Now we do add our carrots now as well. They'll go in like so, and we will also be adding 2 medium-sized potatoes. Now for those people who like their potatoes soft, add them now with the carrots. For those who don't, like me, I'll be adding them a little bit later, but I'll show you the proportion of what you need to add and the amount to add. So this is it so far. It's such a beautiful soup. It's so nice. It smells beautiful. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cook this for a good 20 minutes. And while this is cooking, we're going to prepare our meatballs. Okay, so we're now going to make our meatballs, and this is the vegan stock cube that I'm going to crush up first. This will add some nice beefy, meaty flavour. I'm now going to add all my my meatball ingredients: the ham, the rice, and the beef mince. As I say, if you don't have these, you can use soya. If you don't have soya, you could substitute with mushrooms and bind that. Chop your mushrooms up finely. Now we're going to add our herbs and spices to hopefully really pack each of these meatballs with loads and loads of flavour. And so as you can see, it's all in the bowl here, and we're just going to give it a little bit of a mix up to start with, and then we're going to get our hands in and get dirty. We're going to have to see how this works. We might need to put a little bit of oil in for the binding. In fact, I am going to put a little bit of oil into this so it just binds a little bit better. If you were using meat, you would use an egg, you see, to bind. So we're just going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil, and then we're going to give it a good mix, and then we'll start getting our hands in and getting dirty. Oh, that's much better, yeah. So let us start working this dough. Sorry, not dough, these meatballs. Let's start mixing this all together. And as you can see, it's just starting to stick together. The more you work it, the more it'll start to stick, because you're releasing all the oils and the proteins that it's being made with. And as I say, if you don't think it's sticking enough, add a little bit more oil. We are doing a different style of meatball here. We are giving it a brand new go. This is 100% Samantha's Kitchen recipe. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how these meatballs turn out and if they actually stick together. I'm just going to add a little bit more oil, not too much. I'd say half a teaspoon more of oil, and let us start now making our meatballs. So we don't want big meatballs, we want tiny meatballs. And what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze them like so, and that is the size of the meatball we want for each one. And then we'll just put them to side. Now what I'm going to do with these meatballs is I'm going to put them in the fridge just to set a little bit, and then hopefully we can just put them in the soup. So I'm going to carry on and make these meatballs now, and then I will come back when we are ready to add these meatballs into our soup. Okay, I just wanted to show you the meatballs close up before I put them in the fridge. I don't know how these will stick. This Naked Glory mince is a little bit different to Meatless Farm Company. That generally sticks really well, but we can only try. But they're packed full of all the herbs, flavours. Oh, they're going to be amazing. So these are going to go in the fridge now for 15 minutes. And then they'll be ready, hopefully, to go in, and fingers crossed they'll stick together. So I just wanted to show you which products that I have used for each of the ingredients. So for the meatballs, I've used Naked Glory mince. We'll see how these actually work in terms of making meatballs. I'm using this smoked ham style plant-based deli slices. If you don't have this, as I said, you can substitute with a bit of smoked paprika, chop your mushrooms up finely, add all your herbs and spices, and make a meatball this way. Now the lovage, this is a difficult herb to find, and so you may have trouble finding it, but this is what I'm using. I do apologise, I can't pronounce that. I can't pronounce most things. So yeah, so this is the product. So you may be able to buy this online or at any specialist supermarket. And so yeah. Alternatively, to get fresh lovage, it's difficult to find. Our friend Rosa kindly grows this, so I had the opportunity to use fresh lovage, but you can always try and grow it yourself and see what you think of it. It really is a beautiful herb. It has a celery flavour to it. It's really beautiful, and you've just got to try it. It's had 20 minutes, and at this point you must taste it. It could be perfectly fine. You don't want to add any lemon. You might find it a little bit too sour, or you might not find it sour enough. It is a sour dish. If it's too sour for you, the way in which you sort that out is you just to add a teaspoon of sugar or sweetener, and that will totally offset any bitterness. I've just tasted this, and I'm going to add half a lemon now and then add the meatballs. It's now time to add the meatballs. I'm just going to gently pop them in on top like so. Now if these were meat, you would cook them for about 20 minutes further, but I am going to cook these for about 15 minutes. I'm going to cover the lid as well. I'm going to try not to disturb them too much because I am unsure of how well they will stick, but yeah, and then because I like hard potatoes, I'm going to add them at the end, but you would have added them at the carrot, when you added the carrots. Okay guys, I've just had a look, and Naked Glory didn't do his job, her job, whoever. My meatballs have disappeared. So it's now become a Romanian meat stew, kind of. I've just had a bit of a taste of it, and it's amazing. I don't know if I've come across a new recipe here that's even better, but it's so good. I am so impressed with it. Even though it's a total fail, it's a total meatball fail, it's absolutely delicious. It's had about 15 minutes now, and disappeared, meatballs gone. Definitely use Meatless Farm Company, or try the mushroom meatballs. Let me know in the comments how it went, but it's absolutely beautiful. So you won't ruin your dish or anything like that, don't worry. I'm going to add the potatoes now for another 5 minutes, and then it's time to serve. Okay, so I added 2 medium-sized potatoes, and I cut them up small, as you can see, same size as what you would cut up with carrots, and it is done. It's smelling amazing, so I think it's time to serve. So let us have a look. As we say, meatball fail, but maybe we've just created something here that's absolutely delightful. Look at this, all those flavors, all those herbs, spices. And what's this is that the rice is like come apart, and it's just all cooked through, and it's so beautiful, it's so hearty, and it tastes amazing. So yeah, I think we've stumbled on an amazing Romanian meat stew kind of thing. But if you do want the meatballs, try those alternatives that I've said. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification button. And I will see you very soon. Stay safe, everyone.